one on communication and photography, one on activating corporate character in the post-COVID era. Again, does media spending still matter? The future of creative industries and more. But first, we have a panel on the rising popularity of streaming services. Now, during the COVID era, I know many of you were locked down at home, just like myself, watching Netflix, watching Amazon Prime, watching other streaming services, and it helped us get through the many hours that we had at our disposal. And everyone, I'm sure, has their favorite shows. But to talk more about streaming services, we have an expert on the topic, Pelin Mavili. She's the Public Policy Director of Netflix Turkey, and she's going to be joining us right now to talk more about streaming services, their rising popularity, and their place inside strategic communications.
Hi, everyone. It's such a great pleasure. And at the same time, such a great regret that I'm not in the room with such a distinguished group of executives from the area of communications. I would really love to be there face to face. Actually, with COVID, I missed being in face-to-face events. Unfortunately, abroad today, so I wasn't able to be there with you in person. I hope next time I will have the opportunity. And I'd like to extend my gratitude to Presidency, Head of Communications, for the invitation to speak at such a distinguished event. Today I'm here to speak about the importance of streaming services, the increasing importance of streaming services. And maybe let me start very briefly about how Netflix is different in this space, and then I'll move to the opportunities it brings in the space of communications that would be of interest for most of the audience, most probably. So as you know, Netflix is an innovative entertainment service that uses internet to provide the service to its customers. Netflix is not a platform. It doesn't have user-generated content, and it doesn't have user interaction on the service, and there is no in-app purchasing in Netflix. It's a service provided via internet, and it has editorial controls and ratings and signatories to inform its audience. You can leave Netflix at any time. You can come back at any time. You don't have to commit to be a subscriber. And I think this is really important, that it really fits the zeitgeist today that made it popular among all the subscribers. Today, you can watch wherever you want, whenever you want, how much ever you want. You can leave and come back anytime. And this agility, this flexibility that these kind of services provide to customers is really aligned with the zeitgeist. And that makes it really a preferred choice among customers today. And I just said it's an innovative service. And let's have a quick look what's innovative in it. Actually, the Netflix business is totally transformed with the digital transformation itself. It started as a DVD rental company. Most of you may know about it. The company was sending DVDs to its customers via post without, again, any commitments and any penalties if you return the DVD late. It was innovative in itself as well back then. But then with digital transformation, the company had the capability to transform the business itself and adopt it to using internet. That made the milestone for the company, obviously. And then there was another milestone when Netflix decided to produce its own content. And then there was another milestone that Netflix hit producing local content. All these, the ability and the agility to adapt with the needs of the time, the century that we are living in, made Netflix really an innovative service. And this is really appealing for the customers, actually. Today, what is really important with this video on demand services overall, clearly is the ability to connect the local stories to a global audience. I think today local storytellers are at their highest strength with their ability to reach an international audience. And what is really important is, and I think this is a very critical angle for communication executives, what we observe in our subscriber base is the fact that they love authentic local stories. So while we are speaking about internationalization of the storytelling, we really need to value the authenticity of it at the same time. So remaining authentic while becoming an international standard in your service quality is really important today. And that makes the communication of local storytellers very strong. And that makes these services loved among millions of subscribers all over the world. But today I also want to talk about three very important aspects about video on demand services and how they contribute to societies they are in. And one is more on the economic side, and the second one is more on the communication side of it that I think you will find really interesting. First of all, the video on demand services and the fact that there is an international appetite for local stories creates a huge economic growth potential. Actually, overall, creative industries are really at the heart of economic development nowadays, especially at a time of COVID, where there was some economic challenges all around the world. The video on demand services and the productions around video on demand services turn out to be an important source of economic development throughout this process and growing every day. Deloitte actually conducted a story very recently about the power of creative industries as a whole. Video on demand and production of films and series is part of it, but it's beyond that. Deloitte proved that with a study in 9 different countries, including Turkey, the creative and industries today is growing faster than the average growth of the local economies themselves. And they are expected to grow 40% until 2030. So there is a huge growth opportunity in investing in creating local content and beyond that in the creative industries. And when we look at Turkey findings of the same report of Deloitte, it reads very interesting stuff as well for Turkey. Actually, the employment growth in creative industries in Turkey is again faster than the average employment growth in the country. And it is expected to have 1 million employment until 2030 in Turkey. And the share in employment will grow from 2% to 3% by 2030, which also proves that it will grow faster than the average employment growth in the country. And then looking at these data, we decided to analyze where is Netflix in this picture? How do we contribute in this picture? And we conducted a study with our own data from our own productions about Netflix's contribution to trigger economic growth in Turkey. So this is different from what we are directly paying to our production partners. And beyond that, what we are triggering in the supply chain. We think this is really important because any economic sector itself generates a value, but the value chain behind it and around it is even more important. So we wanted to have a look to what extent we trigger that circle around the Netflix business. And what we find out is really impressive. Until today, you have seen Turkish shows on our service. I hope you have seen Turkish shows on our service. But there are also shows that we finalize shooting, which are in post-production process that you haven't yet seen. With all those shows that we completed their sets for, our contribution to the supply chain, let it be restaurants, let it be hairdressers around our sets, let it be transportation companies, construction companies for our sets. All these supply chain impact reach out to 583 million Turkish lira today. So it's not what we directly spend, it's what we triggered to be spent in the economy. So yes, the creative industries has a huge potential, and the SVOD, the subscriber video on demand services, becomes a flagship in that economic growth actually. And when we look at the employment numbers, this is also very impressive. Up until now, on any Netflix shows shot in Turkey, we created 3,300 employments. So today, the video on demand services turn out to be an engine for economic growth, and not only within the creative industries itself, not only interacting with itself, but then beyond, with a great supply chain impact to overall Turkish economy. Then speaking about the economic contribution on one side, now I'd like to move on to a space that this specific audience, the communication executives, might be even more interested. The SVOD services, subscriber video on demand services, creates a huge cultural affinity, connects the people, the countries, and the cultures with each other. And that power comes from the authenticity that I was just talking a few minutes ago. As long as we keep authentic in telling our local stories, there is a huge potential to get closer to other parts of the world. And the bridge is by these video on demand services. So using the power of connectedness via internet, the leveraging the technology today brings us a power to be more able to communicate globally and get connected globally. And there is a report actually by the UN World Tourism Organization that Netflix also contributed to, and it's about cultural affinity and screen tourism. And that looks very closely to internet-based entertainment services overall. And that study also shows that the possibility of listing a country as your main destination of willingness to travel increases 2.4% if you watch a local content from that country. So that tells us if you are on an international service as a local storyteller, then you are contributing to the potential of your country to gain more tourism attraction, to gain more cultural attraction globally. And I want to underline a point specifically here, because Turkish film and series has been strong for a long while already. So it's not a new thing. Actually, this is the reason why Netflix choose to be producing even more in Turkey. The creative community and the stories of Turkey itself is already very strong. And we have been telling those stories, we have been exporting those stories as Turkey proudly, globally already for a while. But what comes with this new services, what is the opportunity with the services is the fact that subscribers of video on demand services has more than 1.5 times opportunity to see a local content. So we have the possibility to take Turkish stories to homes that are not usual followers of Turkish stories. So it's 1.6 times more opportunities to reach an audience that you wouldn't reach normally if it was traditional TV. So the internet connectedness and the agility of these services opens up new doors for our storytellers. This is really an important opportunity. And are we capturing it as Turkey? Let's have a look at this. We were really interested to see if Turkey is an exception or if Turkey is aligned with this trend. And we conducted a study in 8 countries with 8,000 Netflix subscribers. And we asked them if they are watching or not watching Turkish content. And we find out that among those who watch Turkish local content, the cultural affinity towards Turkey, the feeling closer to Turkey, the love to Turkey increases 2 times. This is really impressive. This is really an important opportunity to be closer to the rest of the world. And we see a similar trend, not only in their interest in Turkey specifically as a whole country, but also to Turkish language. The tendency to listen Turkish on the service and even learn Turkish, to Turkish history. It's even beyond the study, it's almost 3 times the interest in Turkish history with Turkish content. And I don't only mean Netflix content, because we are licensing very valuable Turkish content. And you may know the historical Turkish dramas are really very much followed by our international audience, and that triggers an interest in Turkish history. Turkish cuisine, or tendency to buy a Turkish product. So it's all increasing. But there is one really impressive data I want to tell specifically, which can be a huge opportunity for Turkey. The willingness to travel to Turkey doubles when you see a Turkish show on your service. So it means there is a huge potential post-COVID, hopefully, for tourism as well. And I hope we can capture it with our very strong stories coming from Turkey to our service. So coming towards the end of my speech, I hope I triggered some interest, but I want to underline a few things. Today, this market of video on-demand services, internet-based services, it's a very competitive market. There is almost no market entry barriers. It's highly competitive, which is a huge advantage, obviously for the community, for the subscribers, for the market. And maybe never before the audience had so much choice online for content, and it's a turning point. And with that, with the opportunity for subscriber, comes an opportunity for the country as well. And that's twofold. That's this economic impact, the huge impact to the supply chain, to the overall economy, to kickstart huge impact in the economy. And the other one, and which is even more relevant for this audience, is the ability to increase connectedness and the ability to tell fantastic local stories in a very authentic way globally, which creates a cultural affinity globally, which brings people together around our stories globally. So we strongly believe at Netflix that stories can come from anywhere and can be listened and viewed everywhere. And it's a huge opportunity for communications executives like yourselves. And I hope I was able to trigger more interest around the communication potential in this field, which is really a great opportunity for the societies to come to a better understanding and to get to know each other better. I'm really grateful to have this opportunity to address you all today. And it's a great regret at the same time that I wasn't able to do that in person. I'm not sure if technically it allows for any questions or comments, but I'll be happy to do so. And you can always reach out to me on my social media channels, as well as my email, which reads P, like my name, Pelin, P Mavili @netflix.com. I'm always happy to hear your comments, hear your feedback as communications executives. That's really valuable for us. Thank you very much for your time and attention.